So a discussion has been brought up recently by King B-Dogs of Mojang regarding the Mending enchantment. And although I don't believe King B really said anything negatively about the enchantment in his post, and we'll look at those in a second, it sparked this huge debate in the community around if Mending is overpowered or not, what its place in the game is, etc. And I have some thoughts about this that might surprise you and a good recommendation regarding this as well. So make sure you stick around for that. You will want to hear it. And as always, help a Prowler out by clicking that like button right now to help me defeat that YouTube algorithm. The 50% of you watching right now that are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? And finally, I want your opinion in the comment section right now. Is Mending overpowered? Why or why not? And what would you change about it, if anything? So pulling up the initial tweet here, we have King B-Dog saying, if one thing is clear to me from feedback on the villager toggle, Mending is seen as a necessity for a lot of players in the community. I found it pretty interesting considering the game for many years never had Mending and players had to craft new tools whenever one broke. And there are some subsequent statements down below that I think a lot of people decided to not read, but a lot of people took that initial post as King B-Dog saying, hey, like Mending is too powerful. Like, I don't understand why everybody feels like they need it. And like people did fine with it before. So like, why does it need to be there now? And if you read the rest of his post, it's obvious that that is not the point that he's making at all. But regardless, it stirs up this interesting topic and this interesting debate that is happening online right now. So before we get into that debate, let's cover some basics here. What is Mending? Well, Mending is an enchantment you can put on everything. I think everything in the game, every piece of equipment in the game, that essentially makes it to where when you lose durability on that piece of equipment, that item, you getting experience points will refill the durability. It's that simple. You can have something take a big durability loss, you can get a bunch of XP, fill it all the way back up to full durability again. And that cost ratio never changes. It stays exactly the same for the life of that item. So how do you get Mending right now? Well, you can get it via villager trading is the easiest way. In its current state, you re-roll a villager a bunch of times. Eventually, that villager is going to have a Mending book trade available, at which point you can get as many of those Mending books as you want. I think 11 or 12 trades at a time at whatever the cost is for the book. You can get Mending books a few other ways as well, via fishing, raid farms, and looting in chests. Usually it'll be combined on a book with many other enchantments on it, or sometimes you'll find it already built into certain pieces of gear. Now, the problem with all of the other methods that are not villager trading is you're getting it as a one-off, right? So you may find a Mending book here and a Mending book there, but there are not Mending books everywhere. It's not that common. So to fully outfit your entire gear setup that way is not feasible at all, like 0%, not even close. So if you just look at the essentials, you need at least 10 Mending books for your setup. You need one for your helmet, your chest, your legs, your boots, your 2 pickaxes. You'll have 1 silk touch, 1 fortune, your axe, your shovel, your hoe, and your elytra. And for most players, that's not even all that you need. You're probably gonna have some backup gear. You're gonna have some different versions of gear that do different things. And most of us probably need closer to 15 to 20 Mending books, if not double that, because you want to have backup gear for if something happens to your main gear. If you're that hardcore grinder of going out and getting a whole bunch of mining done, you might have 5, 10 pickaxes. That way you don't have to just go back and mend them up every single time you need to mend up the durability so you can continue doing what you're doing. So to be clear, to be efficient at playing Minecraft, as efficient as possible, you are forced to do villager trading for Mending books. That's it. You can't argue against that, even if you try. Now, you can say that you don't have to get Mending, but then you're not being efficient in the game anymore, because then you have to be able to re-enchant your items over and over and over again. So is Mending overpowered? Well, you got 2 arguments here, right? You have the people that are on the Mending side who are saying, hey man, that's less time I have to spend making tools. It's more time I get to spend doing the things that I want to do. I get to spend more time mining. I get to spend more time getting materials. I get to spend more time building and less time sitting and waiting for XP to re-enchant all brand new gear. Then you have some people that are against Mending. It makes the game too easy. That's not how the game used to be. We were fine without it before. And then even further, that leads us into a couple important questions that we need to ask ourselves. Should durability even exist? Or should tools even break like they do today, where it gets destroyed? Or should it work more like Elytra does, where if your tool breaks or runs out of durability, maybe you just can't use it anymore until you add durability back to it via whatever method, Mending or whatnot. And that leads me into some of my thoughts here. So first of all, we did go without Mending for a long time in Minecraft. But once it was added in, it changed the game. There's no more spending hours remaking new pickaxes over and over. Some of you old school Minecrafters will remember days of sitting at a mob spawner and you're there for 20, 30 minutes just waiting to like get enough experience points to make a new pickaxe. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody likes doing that. It is not a fun part of the game at all because you're not doing anything. You're waiting, and time spent waiting is time wasted, especially for most players that don't have ungodly amounts of time to sit around and play the game. And if you're Mojang, why would you want players just waiting for experience points so they can enchant new gear over and over and over again? Like, wouldn't you want players spending more time out enjoying the game, exploring their worlds, building cool things, putting that cool information out there, telling their friends about all the fun stuff they're doing, and further promoting Minecraft for you? It makes sense to me that that's what you want your player base doing, because that's what makes them happy. So this leads me to my kind of hot take, but we'll call it a lukewarm take. So mending is good, but at the same time, it is overpowered. But by overpowered, I mean a point that King B-Dog sort of made. It's a requirement that people feel like they must get on every piece of gear. And that, by definition, makes it an overpowered thing in the game. And then that loops us around to this trading change that they're making. Mojang is now essentially forcing their players to play the game efficiently. They're forcing their players to take 2 villagers into a swamp, breed them, and then roll that new baby villager, which you have to wait around for to grow up to an adult. What does that take? Like 20 minutes in game or something like that? It takes a while, an hour. It takes a long time. It's annoying. You have to wait for that villager to grow up, and then you have to max trade him out to get mending books. You're going to be forced to do that now. And again, looping back, what I mean by forced to do that is if you're going to play the game efficiently, you need at least 10 mending books, and you're not going to get 10 mending books any other way. Maybe if you build a huge raid farm and you go through chests for an hour to find them, okay, maybe. But again, that's not most players. That's even a smaller subset of players than who do trading halls today. And that leads me into the solution. And I always have the solution, don't I? So the solution isn't to make mending easier to get again. I think the nerf to getting mending is technically fine, okay? It's to give a viable alternative. And in this case, the viable alternative already exists, and that's repairing via an anvil. So when it comes to repairing with an anvil right now, this mechanic sucks. It's terrible. Why? Because it costs materials and levels, and after a few repairs, that's it. You can't repair anymore. And a lot of people have been complaining, rightfully so, about how terrible and broken the anvil system and the too expensive to repair or just too expensive system is. And I think this is a great opportunity for Mojang to make a change for the better that will help out a lot of players in that mid to lower end, while also offering some convenience even for players on the higher end, which is we need to change how repairing items works on the anvil. So what if when you go to repair something, let's say a diamond pickaxe, right? What if the first time you go to repair that diamond pickaxe, it takes 1 diamond to take it from essentially 0 durability all the way up to full, and then it doesn't cost you any levels. The second time it costs you 2 diamonds. The third time it costs you 3 diamonds. Maybe the fourth time and any time after that, it costs 4 diamonds. And they can come up with some kind of formula, right? Maybe things that cost more diamonds to make also cost more diamonds to repair. And maybe the maximum repair cost is like, I don't know, 2 times the amount of diamonds that it takes to make the item in the first place. So like a shovel at max would cost 2 diamonds to repair, but a chest plate at max would cost 14 diamonds to repair. I don't know, like you guys can discuss down in the comment section below, like what you think the right formula would be. I'm not advocating a particular formula, but rather a scale that has a top end to it. So you have it super easy on your first couple of repairs, then it gets a little bit harder. And then once you get past that like 4th or 5th repair or whatever, you're paying a more premium amount of diamonds to do it, because presumably maybe you're further into the late game, you're more able to get that particular resource to be able to do the repairs, whatever it is, right? And then let's take levels out of the equation. Levels are for repairing with mending, whereas resources are for repairing via the Anvil. It just makes sense to do it that way. And then what's your pros and cons? Why would you still want mending? Me personally, first of all, in the early to mid game, yeah, like I'll go through with my fortune pickaxe and get some more diamonds to more easily repair my stuff early on without feeling the need to go to a swamp and just spend this huge adventure to go get mending, right? But at some point, I'm going to cross that Rubicon. I'm going to go past this point of no return where I feel like, man, it's just getting too expensive to continue to repair with diamonds all the time. Or maybe I upgrade to netherite. Nobody wants to spend multiple netherite ingots, or maybe it shouldn't even be ingots. Maybe it should be like scrap or whatever, right? It should, whatever it is. Again, you can discuss that in the comments below if you want to, but nobody wants to keep repairing with materials when the cost gets kind of high, right? So at some point, as a player, you're going to be encouraged to go seek out that mending villager. You're going to do the math in your head to think that it's worth it. But some players won't. Some players going to think, no, I'm not going 8,000 blocks with 2 villagers to a swamp to breed them up and do all of that. Like, I kind of like mining anyways. Like, I'll go down and I'll get my diamonds and I'll repair when I need to. You know what I mean? So it gives players that choice. We're always going to come back to this. You want players to have choice. Now, you can have a solution that's better or worse, but to not have a solution on the lower end, and let's not kid ourselves, the current solution of repair via Anvil is not a solution at all. That system is broken. But if you give people a viable solution to repair via the Anvil in a way that makes it to where mending is still the preferred option, right? Because I can put mending on my stuff and sit at a mob farm for a couple minutes, or I can continue to mine with my fortune pickaxe and I just get XP back from the mining to mend up my stuff. Like, that's still way more convenient. Like, I want that as my end experience, but it doesn't have to be my only experience. So I think that's where we need to be. And Mojang, with so many of these things, they're about to make the big mistake of, let me do something that feels terrible for the players without giving them an alternative solution that feels good for the players. You can't do one without the other, because if you do the one, you're gonna piss everybody off. And if you don't do the other, you're going to piss everybody off. But if you balance things out in a sensible way that still gets you the end result that you want, Mojang, which is, let's make mending and other stuff a little bit harder to get. Let's push it a little bit further back in the game. Just give people those steps. Don't make them jump up to the top rung of the ladder right away. Give them some steps on that ladder to work their way up. And last but not least, equipment breaking. I don't think equipment should break in the sense that it gets destroyed. I don't know what you guys' opinion is on this. I have a feeling that this will be kind of a mixed bag, but I think it's kind of dumb that you can use your equipment to the point where it breaks all the way and it gets destroyed. Does any other game even do that? I can't think of one. Maybe you guys know some, but it's much more common in gaming, and it just feels better as a player in gaming when, instead of your equipment breaking to the point where it's destroyed and you have to remake the whole thing, it just would feel a lot better if, just like the Elytra works in Minecraft already, like, let it go down to a point where it's at 0 durability and the item doesn't work anymore. Hey, when this shovel's at 0 durability, I can't use it anymore. When my armor's at 0 durability, it doesn't protect me anymore. I think that's just a much more sensible system. It's going to save people a lot of headache. It's going to remove a lot of frustration, and it's going to make the system that I just advocated for of repair much more viable, and just going to make it feel a lot better. So anyways, those are my thoughts. What are yours? I'm curious to know. Would you like to see these changes made? What are your thoughts on repairing with materials? What are your thoughts on items not being destroyed when they run out of durability? And if you've made it to the end of this video here, click that like button and subscribe. It would be most appreciated. It helps the channel out so much. And if you found this conversation helpful and interesting, consider picking up a channel membership or clicking that super thanks button down below. I thank you all so much. You're the best, and I'll see you next time.